I want so badly for our next president to have certain personal characteristics that I think are crucial. I think we need a president who is honest and open and a decent human being. Somebody who we look, even if we don't agree with them, we say this is a good man trying to do the best they can under the circumstances. And that's, I think, crucial for America and crucial for the rest of the world, because we need to reestablish trust between the President of the United States and the rest of the world. The second thing is I think we have so much work to do to reestablish America's bond with the rest of the world. There's been incredible damage done, and I think it's going to it's not going to happen quickly, and I think it's going to require an intense effort from the president. The president's going to have to travel the world, speak to the people of the world about the things that we care most about, things I care most about, and I think you care most about: equality, diversity, the kind of things that the world needs to hear from the President of the United States. They don't think that about us right now. And then I think we're going to have to take some action that demonstrates our commitment to humanity, not just to our own selfish interests. Because I think we're a bully now, and we're selfish. We don't care about anything except ourselves. And I think there are multiple places to do that. The ongoing genocide in Sudan is an example. The spread of HIV/AIDS. I think America should lead an effort to make primary school education available to 100 million children in the world who don't have it. In Africa, in the Muslim world, and to a lesser extent in Latin America. I think that's the kind of leadership that could transform the world and could transform the way the world thinks about us. And I know, I would say this to all of you, I know that from having expressed that idea before, including here in Iowa, that there are some people who will push back against it. Good people. I mean, people who say, well, wait a minute, what about our schools? You know, what about our health care? Why aren't we spending money over there? Well, I'm going to stand for this, and I will do everything I can to do it as President of the United States, even against opposition. I just want you to know that, because I do believe that what we do in the rest of the world directly affects us here at home. And I also believe that what we do here directly affects the rest of the world. I don't think there's separation that I think some Americans think exists. I don't believe it exists. And I think both those things are completely connected. So I think leadership in this front, in ending this mess in Iraq, America needs to be getting out of Iraq. And all of us know that. And I'll just say, most of you have heard me talk about this in the past. You know, I voted for the war, and I was wrong to vote for this war. And I have to live with that. But I believe so strongly that we need to get out of Iraq. And what I want to see our Congress do is, you know, the reason we all worked so hard in the last election was elections have consequences. We won, you know, and we in America spoke out and said we need to change the course in Iraq. That's the reason a lot of people voted the way they did. And so when the Congress sends this president a funding bill, which they have constitutional responsibility for, that has a timetable for withdrawal from Iraq, if Bush vetoes that bill, they ought to send him another one. And then they ought to send him another one. Because we control the Congress, and the Congress has the responsibility for funding. If the president decides not to sign the bill, it's the president who's not supporting the troops. Our responsibility is to represent the American people. And the American people have spoken. It's Bush who's defying the will of the American people. So I think we can strong in this issue. And if any of you have questions, I'll be happy to talk about some more details about precisely what I think we ought to be doing in Iraq. And by the way, let me just say as an aside, I do think, you know, a lot of you're in a unique position here in Iowa because you're going to have the first in the nation caucus, and which I happen to believe is a good thing, good for democracy, because meetings like this take place instead of just, you know, us standing at podiums. You know, I went through the general election campaign last time. You stand at a podium in front of, you know, anywhere from 5,000 to 75,000 people. There's not a lot of human interaction. It's hard to have a feel for what people are worried about. Well, here in Iowa, that's not the case. And as Ray mentioned, I have been in all 99 counties, and I've had meetings just like this over and over and over, and I learned a great deal from that. It's been hugely helpful to me in moving forward. And you'll see as you listen to me that I'm pretty seasoned now. I've been through this, and I have very clear ideas about what I think America needs to do. I think we're past the time for caution and political calculation. I think we need strong, bold leadership. We need strong, bold ideas to change this country on multiple fronts. We need universal health care. I have a universal health care plan, which I'm proud of. Be happy to explain the details of it and how I pay for it to anybody wants to ask about it. I think we can't have to get off our addiction to oil. It's killing us. And we have to, America should be, instead of being an example for bad, where we're actually leading in the contribution to greenhouse gases, we need to be a leader for good. We ought to cap carbon dioxide emissions in the United States. We ought to ratchet that cap down. We ought to be investing billions of dollars, which we can create by auctioning off the right to emit any carbon dioxide under the cap. We can use that money to transform the way we use energy, to invest in carbon sequestration technology, to invest in, well, see, I said I was going to wait for a question, but anyway, there's a lot of things that we ought to be doing, and I have very specific ideas about that. And I believe this is near and dear to my own heart. I'll admit it, and some people are less interested in it. But I think there needs to be a voice for the poor in this country. You know, we have 37 million people who are worried about survival, and somebody's got to speak for them. If my party doesn't speak for them, no one will speak for them. So I'm going to be out there talking about this. And I have a whole group of ideas. In fact, I've got a book that just came out called Ending Poverty, and it has ideas from the best people in America who've worked on this issue, many of them for decades, on how we can end poverty. I think we can end poverty in America. I really believe that. I don't think we can do it piecemeal. We'll have to do it comprehensively in a disciplined, sustained way over a period of about 30 years. But I think if we do that, we can literally end poverty in this country and strengthen and grow the middle class, assuming we still have a middle class at that point. We have a lot of work to do to strengthen and grow the middle class in America, and everyone knows that. Just one last startling statistic on that front. Elizabeth actually told me this, and this is what it is. Last year, this is really amazing, by the way, the top 300,000 income earners in America earned more than the bottom 150 million. Now you think about that. And the disparity is even worse when you look at just wealth as opposed to income. It's an even greater disparity. So it's just not healthy for our democracy. It's not. We're not against, there's no one here who's against people doing well. We want people to do well. Maybe do well enough to pay $400 for a haircut. So embarrassing. Anyway, but what we want is we want everybody to have a chance. That's what we want. And that's what this is about. That's what this election is about. And the only thing I would ask you to do, because you're in the unique position of being able to do it, as these candidates come through, and they're really good candidates on our side. I have a lot of respect for the other candidates who are running. And except for there's one gentleman from Alaska who's running who I don't know. But I know all the others. And I know them well. And I have a lot of respect for every single one of them. But what I would ask you to do is, there's nothing personal about this, not for you and not for me. What I would ask you to do is put them to a tough test. I mean, really, this election cannot be about glitz and glamour. And this is a really serious issue. Who's going to be the next president? This is an historic moment. And who's going to be the next president of the United States is a very serious question. And if someone is asking you to go to the caucus for them to be the next president, they ought to be able to tell you with some specifics about what they want to do as president. I don't mean just rhetoric. I mean, they ought to tell you specifically what they're going to do about health care. What are they going to do about energy? What are they going to do about climate change? What are they going to do about Guantanamo? Will they close Guantanamo? What will they do about Iraq? Specifically, not just we need to leave Iraq, exactly their plan for how we disengage from Iraq. What are they going to do to restore America's image in the world? I mean, what are the specific ideas that they have to change this country and to change the way America is in the world today? Those questions ought to be asked of every single candidate. Because if they can't answer those questions, they're not ready to be president. And every one of us need to be put to that test. That includes me, by the way. So I hope you will be tough on me and tough on them.